Hey everybody, Frater Zigmund here. My video this week is still a work in progress, so we decided to put it off a little bit. I'm in the middle of working on some new paintings, so I've been documenting my process, but I'm nowhere near done with the work. So we're going to do a little bit of a vlog entry today for this week. So I just wanted to talk about art magic, talk about the intersection of art and magic and how it inspires my work, and show off some of my artwork that I've made in the past and what I'm looking to do in the future. So, art. So I view art as a creative expression. It's a way to make things, bring things into the world that were not there previously, that don't really have necessarily a functional purpose, although they can. But art is done with a lot of intentionality, maybe not necessarily thought or effort, but uh, it's difficult for art to necessarily just be happenstance. Like a natural rock formation isn't necessarily art, but if you put rocks in a certain way so that they erode in a certain way, even though you might not know necessarily what the final output would be, and that chance and happenstance is part of the artwork, um, still you put some kind of effort into it. There's some kind of human intervention in the creation of the artwork. So I think art helps to elevate us. It points to something that's sort of bigger than itself. There is this idea in Platonism of beauty in the eternal realms, and it comes to us through beautiful things, through artwork, through the people that we love, stuff like that, natural settings. Um, and so when I create art, I really look to tap into those eternal realms. And so a lot of times my artwork kind of is trying to reflect that platonic realm and bring it into this world, bring those energies into this world, just to seek for something higher. And magic is when we perform irrational acts to create change in the world. There is a lot of doing rituals and prayers and lighting candles and saying certain words. And these things in and of themselves really have no causal effect on the things that we're seeking to obtain or we're seeking to change. But a lot of people use them. A lot of practitioners swear by magic, use magic. A lot of religions have magical practices, although they kind of don't like to call them magic a lot of times. Usually the word magic is for other groups, other things that other people do. Oh, that's magic. We don't approve of that. But it's okay for us to go light a candle and pray, and hopefully, Aunt Mary gets better. So, I mean, it all looks a lot like magic to me. You can call it whatever you'd like. But a lot of my own personal practice is about taking those forms and adopting them and using them and making and trying to elevate them and make them something more than just the sum of their parts. Um, I work a lot with theurgical magic. Theurgy is a kind of magical working where you seek to prepare your soul for greater visions of the divine or have an experience of the eternal realms. So I do a lot of ritual, a lot of prayer, a lot of meditation, but also it pervades all the sort of aspects of my life. And art is sort of a creative endeavor. It is a form of devotional work for the planet Venus, the goddess Venus, who is the goddess of art and beauty and harmony. So when I make art, I am seeking to do this in her honor, to bring me closer to her, because I've been gifted with the creative talent. I have a bit of expression. I went to school for this. I've always been a creative person. So I feel like I need to use those gifts to honor her because she's given them to me. And I'm just grateful. And the best thing I can do is to continue to give to the world what I can. So that's what I seek to do with my art. So art magic, like I said, it combines these two things. The artist and the magician both seemingly make something out of nothing. But what they do is they take the raw materials of the world and shape them into a greater whole. And I find there's just like a lot of intersection between the two things, between the two callings. And I feel very much drawn to both. I've always wanted to be an artist and I've always wanted to be a wizard. And now I'm finding that I can be both. And it's fantastic. So let me talk about some of the art that I've made. So One thing that I really like doing, obviously, is sigils. So here are some sigils that I've made. So I made a series of these. So this was, oh, hold on. Oh, it's a little reflective. There we go. The ring light is a little shiny here. But I made a series of 10 of these, one for each of the Sephiroth. And obviously the colors, if you know your Hermetic Kabbalah, you'll know what these assign to. I don't really remember what the sigils mean. I think it's somewhere on my Tumblr. But there's a bunch of these, and I just have them like lying around. I didn't really know what to do with them. I made them, and they're just kind of there. But also, I make talismans, so I'll make a sigil, and then I'll put certain elements on it. But this really demonstrates part of my styles. I really like to make really indistinct, abstract kind of backgrounds, and then contrast it with sort of more geometric shapes that what I really am kind of like interested in is the interplay between geometry and sacred geometry and sort of the mystical aspects of geometry with the geometry of the everyday world, and how amorphous and different it is than these like perfect shapes that we have in this sort of super rational kind of space. Um, and it's about the manifest and the unmanifest, and what is really real. So there's a lot of that going on in there. So then let me show you some other stuff. So this is another sort of talisman-y kind of painting, based on the moon. You can obviously see the moon here. That's the sigil of the moon, and then there's the number 9 in Mayan numerals. I really like using Mayan numerals. My family comes from Guatemala. I have Mesoamerican blood in me. I have the kind of facial features that fit on an Olmec head, the big nose, thick lips. So even though I have white skin, I'm Latino, and yeah. So I feel very much called to these numbers. And then here, this is sort of a depiction of the moon card, the major arcana, and the 18 at the top. So this is kind of like I mean, it's like on a panel. Like this is kind of like throwaway. It's just something I kind of just practiced on. Same with this one. This is a Saturn piece. You can see I've put the element of lead here, which is the metal associated with Saturn. Here we have the symbol of Saturn. And this is probably just some mystical circuitry. It probably doesn't mean anything in particular. But this is a sort of art style that I do, which I probably should grab something of. But it's not necessarily art magic. It's just, I guess I call it a mystical circuitry. But yeah, 3 is the Sephiroth number associated with Saturn. The dark color is also associated with Saturn. And another thing that I've tried to do, so this is the fourfold breath. If you know sort of the basic Golden Dawn practices, you know the fourfold breath, or you might have learned it in some kind of therapy situation. It's often called square breathing, but it's a way of managing your breath. You inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, exhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, and it's kind of like a circle. And then I made a sigil of the fourfold breath, and then using the Mayan numerals again, and then the weird, crazy, indistinct background with the geometry on top is very much my style. So I guess one last painting I wanted to show was one more sigil I did, so I might have to stand back for this. This is one I did in college. Boom. So this is actually pretty big. And this is a sigil that I made. I don't exactly remember what the sigil was, but I added this little piece of transparency here. And it says, "A sigil to ease the pain of a lonely journey." I was just very, very emo back in college. But if I remember correctly, the assignment in my painting class was we had to make a landscape. And by this time, I had been in college for like 10 years. It was really awful, and I was just trying to get a bachelor's degree. But I was really struggling with my mental health. But I was in my final semester, and then I was like, I don't really want to just do a landscape. So I kind of did an anti-landscape. I made it as bleak as possible. Then I just did this completely other thing. And then My teacher loved it, so I got an A. And that was just kind of me at the end of college. I was just doing whatever I wanted, taking the assignments and just completely subverting them and just being like, here. So I did honestly pretty well. It's kind of sad that I didn't keep going into art, but I'm doing it now. I have found a mentor at my local church. She has taken me on. She's an artist. She sells art. She wants to get me going. So I've been focusing on trying to make some new art. So I've been experimenting. With some pours. So I've just made some of these, and I'm going to try painting on top of these. So we'll see how that goes. I've never done acrylic pouring before. Usually, I just water down my paints with water, but I found out that that's actually a pretty bad idea. So I'm trying to do something a little different. So this is that little one. I've got some other ones. Here's one more. So I'm trying to make a Mars piece. And so I'm trying to use some reds, some blacks, and darker colors, and then white as contrast. So like when I see a lot of the acrylic pours, they tend to use a lot of contrasting colors, really trying to like make it pop, but like that's usually like the final product. So like that's all right. I'm trying to just make this a background. I want to paint on top of this. So if some of this gets covered up, that's fine. That's kind of the intention. And like there is sort of a thing in ceremonial magic about silence and maintaining silence. And so obfuscating parts of the painting, keeping them hidden is part of the work and the process for me. Maybe I'm wasting my time, quote unquote. I should find more efficient ways to do it. But building energy into a work by working on it is a part of my process. There's an energetic component to my artwork that is not just the physical piece. There's something worked into it. And you can call it the astral light, you can call it ki, you can call it prana. It has a lot of names. The vital force, animal magnetism. It exists in a lot of names, a lot of different cultures, and it's honestly a part of my artwork that you kind of need to be present to experience. And so this was the best one of the bunch, I think. I actually used the silicone oil in this one, so it actually came out really cool. I am going to be painting over this. We're going to be making some panels, making some notes to Mars. We'll hopefully he'll be pleased with what I produce. So this is also interesting because it's a Mars piece, but it's like Venus work, so it's a very much an intersection of those two contrasting forces, which has been very prevalent in my life right now because I feel drawn as an artist, but I've also been experiencing a huge amount of Mars energy in my life, which I have not traditionally felt until about a few years ago. So it has been really interesting coming into my Mars self, and I hope to explore some of that more in my painting. And thanks all you guys for watching this, and I hope you have a good week. I'll see y'all next week with another video. Take care.